more chairs in a minute, and we'll get everybody situated, and then we'll begin hopefully pretty soon. Okay, so bear with us. In the meantime, enjoy some student-made video games from this year.
Hi everyone, this is a good problem to have. We're just in the midst of getting some additional chairs, and I'll just mention that we are live streaming tonight, so we'll just keep this space open unless you want the back of your head to be the part that's live streamed. So we'll be live streaming from here. We'll set up more chairs along the side for you.
Yeah, I got my head.
You want to take those chairs, those tables are open.
It's almost over.
Keep going.
So Emily, remember, okay, we're being live streamed, okay? So don't say anything that you don't want anyone to hear. This person's Flappy Bird. You know what's even better? This is the sequel. Floppy Bird. Oh, the Binding of Isaac. Oh yeah, that's a popular game. It's this character Isaac, and he gets binding.
What is that?
It's the wrong past tense for bound. I think I'm gonna call the fire because that's a fire hazard block.
That is crazy.
Emily, what's the number again for a fire hazard? Oh, that's the ultimate suicide. Oh, I think I was right.
That's a weird count. And
What if Ash is in the room? What if Ash is in the room right now? He's going to hear you. The guy who made Stardew Valley. There's a brother. But then again, just live streamed it.
Yes, and the microphone here will be picking everything up, so.
Don't say anything bad about your friends.
Too late. They've all been reported.
I'll check it on YouTube, but you can go ahead.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Sorry that I have my back to some of you. My name is Anne-Marie McDonald, and I'm the principal here at Bayridge Secondary. We are thrilled to have so many people with us tonight. Mr. Swain was worried because he had just pushed the information out even within the last few days. He said, I hope that we get some customers, and clearly we have lots. So thanks for coming. Thanks to those of you who are joining us as we live stream tonight's event. So if you didn't hear that earlier, this microphone and the camera there are taking all of this in. And also welcome to those of you who will see this after the fact. Tonight we plan to give you an overview of the Bayridge Computer Specialist Program, but also explain some of the elements that will be new to you if you don't have a student in high school, like what is an SHSM, what is a Red Seal, what parts of this program can my student opt in and out of, co-op opportunities. All of those things might be foreign to you if you haven't had kids in high school before, and we hope to answer all of those questions for you after Mr. Swain does a bit of an orientation with you. So certainly a chance for you to ask questions. And I want to stress that this program is open to any students, so not just students in the Bayridge area, but this is a Limestone SHSM, which means any students in the school board can apply to be in the program, and even outside of the school board. And this year we did have some students out of board who came to the program. It's open to everyone, and we want to certainly give full opportunity to anyone who is interested in applying. Can I ask you to step out for a moment?
Kicking me out of
You
my
give
own
me,
presentation.
I had said to him, I am going to ask you to step out for a minute tonight, and it's nothing bad, but it would be super awkward if you were standing beside me. And I wanted him out of the room because I want you to know that this is genuine. Mr. Swain is the best computer science teacher in the school board and probably Eastern Ontario, and I mean that sincerely. Before I became principal here, I knew about this guy in my previous 2 schools. Principals have fought to have him in their school and to have his program. He's a Bayridge grad. He's not going anywhere. He brought his program, his idea here, and is planning to stay here. But I did want you to know sincerely that he is an outstanding educator. He started by working at Queen's, and people really saw a talent in him as a teacher and encouraged him to go into teaching. So he's been able to marry really good teaching with really good computer background. So we're privileged to have him here and have this program. And honestly, when we look at the 21st century, this is what kids want, and this is what we need them to be equipped for in the future moving forward. So coding, programming, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, all of those aspects are really cutting edge. And as I say, we're thrilled to have this program here, and thrilled that you're excited to learn more about it. Okay, Mr. Swain, you can come back in. Weird. So he's going to give you an overview. He's going to walk you through the website, and we really encourage questions on the spot, as well as hanging back afterward for a bit of question and answer. And we had hoped to do all of that within about an hour period, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, no, worries. I'm all curious what to say. Moving on. Okay.
No idea.
So thank you so much, everybody. As Ms. McDonald said, when you have this kind of event for the first time, I was like, am I going to get 2 people? Am I going to get? I had no idea. So I'm overwhelmed and very happy that there are so many people here, because this is, this is very near and dear to me. This is something that. To give you a little background, I actually was a computer programmer for a while. I worked at Queen's. I worked in a neuroscience lab down at Queen's, and loved the job, but decided ultimately I wanted to be a teacher. And then I became a teacher, and I was an assistant for a while where I was the head of mathematics, and then I came to Bayridge, and I can't be the head of mathematics here because my wife does that job already. That would cause problems at home. So computer science was open, and I decided I wanted to build a program. And slowly over time, I believe that we have built something at Bayridge here that is pretty special. And I'm happy to tell you all about it. So rather than make a PowerPoint or something like that, I thought I would just direct everybody to my website, which I maintain constantly. So I try to keep it up to date with the newest information. And I'm happy to say it's expanding quite a bit. And my students are here tonight, by the way. I should introduce them. So stand up and raise your hand, everybody. So we have Danica. Wave your hand. Danica in grade 12. We have Kai in grade 11. We have Ashley in grade 11. And we have Jack in grade 11. And they've all agreed to come here tonight because I offered to give them more marks on their test. That's not true. They came tonight because I asked them if they wouldn't mind coming and maybe sharing a few things. So at some point, I'll get their input as well. But the program, basically, the way I kind of word it is, it's designed to immerse students in computer science from the day they get to Bayridge to the day they graduate. And so when we designed the program, we thought, right now there's no grade 9 computer science, which I thought was crazy. There's a grade 10 that's optional, and then there's a grade 11 and a grade 12. That's at most schools. So what we've designed here is a grade 9 option where students can come in and immediately take coding. But it's more than just that. It's more than just in the classroom. So we also have what's called the BCSP meetings every Thursday, so Bayridge Computer Specialist Program. And all students who come into the program meet. They all get to meet each other, similar interests, and it's really cool to see all the friendships that have grown simply because of the love of technology, computers, and all that stuff. And students are coding all the time, really. They have access to a site called Code Avengers, where they can go online and they can go through these modules, which are actually recognized by American institutions, and they can earn certifications and things like, if you know the languages, Python, HTML, CSS, and so they're slowly building their kind of coding repertoire, if you will, the entire time they're at Bayridge. So at other schools, they might start in grade 10, maybe. Here, they start in grade 9 and they don't stop until they're done. So this is kind of a general overview of what happens as students go through the BCSP at high school. So when students come in, they automatically join the computers club, and they take the first computer course that they will take in high school, of 4 at least, and that's called TDJ 1.0. And in that class, I'm teaching it right now, we start with I guess you could call it a programming language, and I'm sure many of the students here will have heard of Scratch. So we do some Scratch, but we do more advanced stuff than you might do in your elementary schools. Then we get into a little bit of basic robotics, and then, one that everyone loves, Minecraft. So we do Minecraft Educational Edition coding. Now, if you parents are out there thinking, oh my god, more gaming Minecraft, it's not that. We actually learn how to code in Minecraft. So Minecraft Education Edition is very different from just normal Minecraft, and there's a module that allows students to code using blocks, or they can actually code using traditional programming languages like Python or JavaScript. So quite often what will happen is students will be, and I have many students in my program in grade 9 right now who I'm not teaching, but I see them every Thursday as part of the club. And they're working their way through, say, a Python module, which is a coding language, outside of class. So when they take my course next semester, they will already have some knowledge of the language, and they'll be able to have a bit of a step forward when we do their Minecraft coding. So again, immersed in computer science the whole time they're here. In Computers Club, like I said, students have access to the Code Avengers website where they're learning JavaScript, Python, all kinds of different languages, and they get in Computers Club. They also have opportunity to join clubs that we have at Bayridge, such as Cybersecurity Club and Web Design Club, and other things. We have in the past had a Minecraft club. Right now it's kind of in transition while we figure out what we want to do next. But we've got lots of different opportunity for students who might want to participate in extracurricular computer-based clubs. And I guess I should say sports, because now we offer esports as well, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So that's essentially grade 9. All the while, I should mention, they're also tracking their hours. So as they do things in the world of computers, and I am being purposely vague because things could be a lot of different things. They could be building a website for somebody. They could be, just doing their coding online outside school. They're tracking their hours, and when they get to grade 12, they get to go, wow, look at all the things that I did. And hopefully they get their BCSP certification at the end of it all. I should mention also, in grade 9, they do participate in the Beaver Computing Challenge, and many of the students that walked in the room, I recognize from yesterday when I went to 8 different schools. It was a very long day, 40 different classes, and handed out some certificates to students who did really well on the Beaver Computing Challenge. One of them might be right there. Anyway, so that's essentially grade 9. Grade 10, you move on and you take the second course. And the second course is where we get a little bit more into kind of everything to do with computers. So the grade 10 course, we teach things like hardware. So I get computers from all kinds of different places, but I have some links down at Queens. And Queens gives us some old computers, and we treat them like, mad scientists. We get to, Danica, you like that activity, right? We get to take them all apart, rip them apart, we identify the parts that are inside, and then like Frankenstein, we put them back together and try to make them work. And students typically have a lot of fun with that. We also learn about computer software, computer networking, so things like, what is the internet? How does it actually work? We do that. And then After that, we get into coding, and that's when we start to really learn the Java programming language, which is what we focus on in grade 10, 11, and 12. The reason I like this course so much, and I'm thinking of one student in particular, in the world of computer science, I have a video I was going to show, but it's a 9-minute video, and the gist of it is computer science is everything these days, right? It's not just coding. And so I don't want anyone coming in tonight thinking that, oh, I'm going into a coding program. That's true, you are, but there's so much more to it than that. We have, there's web design, there's graphic design, there's live streaming. There's all kinds of different facets to computer science. And so this course in grade 10 exposes some kids to hardware. And some kids love hardware. And I'm not a big hardware guy myself. I grew up a software person. I write code in software. That's kind of my thing. But a lot of kids really latch on to robotics, for example, or just building computers. And then some kids really like the network part, learning what the internet is, learning how everything functions. And we know that there are tons of jobs available in network analysts, that kind of thing. So this course really introduces them to all kinds of different, I guess, facets of computer science. And that's why I really do enjoy this course. In this course as well, they take their second computer competition, I suppose. But the Canadian computing competition is something that everybody who's part of this program participates in, mandatory, starting in grade 10. And we do it in grade 10, 11, and 12. Why don't they do it in grade 9? Because that's the first one where they actually are required to know a programming language. So when students say to me, at what point do we actually start coding, like in the classroom, and when do we really code? I would say grade 10. Grade 10 is when we really get into it. Grade 9 is when we introduce students to programming, and they can do tons of programming outside of class. But grade 10 is when we really get going, and they write the Canadian computing competition. We also head down to Queens and do a programming competition down there. And in the grade 10 year, students start looking for what I guess we'll call a co-op. But really what we do is we start looking for opportunities for students to work in the community and put their skills to use in some way. So we have all kinds of different examples of this. And so Kai, if you wouldn't mind standing up for a second, I'm going to put you on the spot because Kai loves being on the spot. Can you please just tell us briefly, what did you do for your co-op last summer? And remember, you got to be loud like me.
Last summer, I went to the center. I worked at the Center for Advanced Computing at Queen's University, and I helped them create a website for Kingston that shows statistics about demographics and housing and all that.
Perfect. So Kai's opportunity was to go out and work with Queens in like a very formal setting. Ash, if you wouldn't mind, just tell us about the websites that you're making.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm making 2 websites. One of them is for a local daycare, and the other one is actually for Bayridge. I'm making a website for the culinary program. And I've had a couple other little experiences, but I haven't been able to make full co-ops out of them. Like I've worked at an alpaca farm making websites and doing social media for them. Yeah.
Yes, you heard her right. An alpaca farm. That's how broad our co-ops can be. So if I find somebody who runs a business or an organization and they don't have the tech support they need, well, that's a great opportunity. Danica, would you mind going next and telling us about your experience at Queens?
This summer I worked with a research group called L1NNA at Queen's University this summer, and I helped make algorithms and to analyze various situations in our community, such as having computers understand whether someone's COVID positive or not based on chest x-rays, and taking climate data and seeing on the risk of heat stroke, and evaluating whether or not we should alert the public to a risk based on that data and what can be predicted based on that data.
Awesome. And not many people coming out of grade 12 are going to be able to put that on their resume. And Jack, lastly, if you wouldn't mind telling us what you're doing for your co-op.
So I'm with Kingston United Soccer Club. I run their social medias, and I'm looking at the website and whatnot as well, so I get to go film soccer games and whatnot, and do all sorts of stuff, keeping up with the FIFA World Cup and whatnot.
So as you can see, there's quite a mix. We've got 2 students that were down at Queens doing some very formalized stuff. Jack is running social media for a local soccer organization. And Ash is doing a couple of websites for basically people in the community that don't have the know-how or the money to do it themselves. So basically we try to find need in the community, and then we fill that need, and students go out and they learn what they need to learn in order to do that. So that is after the grade 10 year is over, so during the summer, that is when we try to find something that a student can do, typically for around 100 hours, and that would earn them a co-op credit. So a co-op credit is something that they have to achieve in the BCSB. And usually it winds up being a pretty amazing experience. I know that, I won't give Kai the floor again, but I know that Kai had a wonderful time down at Queens, met some really, really cool people, and unfortunately came back to school and now knows more than I do about coding, so I don't have anything to teach him anymore. So that kind of sums up the grade 12. Now, grade 11 is when we get into the true, I guess, programming part. So grade 11 and 12, the courses that they take in school are programming. That's it. So we do computer programming in grade 11. We call it Introduction to Java. And you already saw, and I gave away the games that you saw at the start there when you came in. Those were all coded 100% from scratch by students who took the grade 11 course. So we start essentially by making video games in order to learn how to code, because it's awesome and it's lots of fun, and students typically enjoy doing their homework, which is great. During the grade 11 year, we transition from that, the video game creation, to doing more, I guess, what you call traditional coding. And we get ready for the grade 12 year, where, well, I guess I'll get ahead of myself. But also during grade 11, students compete in the Canadian computing competition. There's another computing competition down in Queens called the Echo Computer Competition, or Challenge. And we start looking at cybersecurity challenges. Now this has kind of become an optional thing, but students who are interested in cybersecurity, which is the #1 fastest growing field in computer science, they have the option to participate in the PICO CTF, which is a capture the flag challenge online. And basically, without sounding evil, students learn how to hack, but for good, of course. And so students learn what hacking is, and they learn how to kind of, fix vulnerabilities that might be in a website. And so there's a place down in the States that does cybersecurity for youth, and they set up a computer online, and the students have to hack into the computer and basically find all of the flags. And it winds up being quite a bit of fun. So there's that too. And lastly, in grade 11 especially, we do lots of outreach activities. So the best example of this was recently, and again, if you wrote the Beaver Challenge, all you students here, you may have had some of my students come into your room. So this year we had 1,087, I think, grade 5, 6, 7s, and 8s write the Beaver Computing Challenge. And we sent out from Bayridge 72 students to elementary schools, and they would go out and work with students and teach them how to do the challenge and all that kind of stuff. So we constantly interact with our feeder schools. I heard a couple students when they come in said, hey, I know this room, we've been in this room. And some of you got pizza from our culinary area. No? Okay, no pizza tonight, sorry. But anyway, we interact with our elementary schools all the time. And so this is a couple pictures of students going out. These are actually from last year, I gotta update this. And then, grade 12. So in the grade 12 year, students have the opportunity to take 2 different courses. So again, in terms of how our program is unique, we offer grade 11 computer programming, of course, just like most schools do, but we offer another course called TEJ4M, and that is essentially a computer leadership course that we sort of kind of invented here. And the idea, it kind of dawned on me when I had students who were in grade 11 who would fast track, and they would take the grade 12 course as a grade 11, and usually do really, really well. But then they go to their grade 12 year and they got nothing else to take. And so we designed a course where students can essentially work with me to define their own learning goal and what they want to do in computer science, and then essentially they do it. So as an example, we had one student who wanted to learn how to make a database-driven website, which is something that is quite complicated and not something we do in class. And so we defined their project, and then they worked on it the entire year, and I would just kind of check in once in a while, but that was their project. So I like that one because it's almost like a passion project. Students can pick something that they've always wanted to do. One of the other one was a programming language called Unity, which is often used to make video games. We had a couple students make some three-dimensional video games, and basically students pick what they want to do, and they go, and they learn. It's very cool. So we offer that in grade 12. And we also offer the AP Computer Science exam. Now I haven't talked about AP, and you can see AP is an entire section, so maybe I'll just leave that for a second, and I'll come back to it. But we do offer AP in grade 12. And also grade 11, so I'll get to that in a minute. I think I talked about this. And then of course our grade 12s are the leaders of the computer club, so they are seen as, you know, when we have sessions where the younger students are trying to learn, doing their coding at lunch, my grade 12s are in the room, acting as helpers and going around and being good role models, right, Dana? And then I guess lastly, the only other thing I'll say is the grade 12s also will help me run what's called the BECC. Any students in here do that last year? It was a gathering where you came to Bayridge in groups. No one here did that? Yeah, you did that, awesome. So, you think you did that? Maybe you did that, I'm not sure. It was a while ago. But last year, 2 years ago, during COVID, we started a computer contest for elementary students locally, and it's a group competition where students get together, so teams of 3, and basically they're given a programming or a computer science problem. They have to solve it and then do the next one, and solve it and then do the next one. So it's like a race, and you race against all kinds of other competition. We started with 7 teams the first year. Last year I think we had 34, and we do it for the grade 7 level and the grade 8 level. And so the students who are in my program help me run that night too. So lots going on, and it's not just all coding. It's outreach, it's, you know, dealing with other people, and good stuff. So there you go. That's kind of the rundown of what happens when you come into this program as a grade 9, graduate as a grade 12. Okay, I think I'll keep going, and at one point, yeah, 7:31, I'm doing it. So let's talk quickly about an SHSM. So I don't know if you've heard this term before, but an SHSM stands for Specialist High Skills Major. And a school must be approved for an SHSM. So we got approved for an SHSM last year. And what that means is that between the years of grade 10 and 11, students are allowed to say, yes, I would like to, you know, try to get my SHSM certification. And what it gives them is, it gives them a certification in computer science, meaning that when they graduate, they get a red seal, a special red seal that is recognized by the Ministry of Ontario, saying, yes, this person is a specialist in information communication technology, computer science. So again, not every school has that. We have that. That's yet another thing that we offer. To earn an SHSM, it actually works really well with our program because students are actually doing many of the things they're already doing as part of the BCSP. So if a student wants to earn an SHSM, they just have to sign up for it between the grades of 10 and 11, and then they just have to do one additional co-op. So in addition to the one they have to do for the BCSP, they just do one more. And again, it's usually not very hard to find one with all the need for tech. And students typically might have been doing. That's why Ash has 2 websites, because 2 co-op credits. So the SHSM involves a few other things.
And just while he's doing that, I would mention that the ministry is collecting data, and what they have noticed is that students who get a red seal in a particular sector are that much more likely to gain employment and a career in that sector. So it's really an enhanced diploma that positions them better to go into that particular field.
Thank you for that. So in earning an SHSM, and we're talking to grade 8, not necessarily to go into details here, but these are the things you must do to earn an SHSM. So one, you have to get some certain credits, but if you look at this table, you have to earn an English and a math and arts, business. A lot of these they're getting already. So like these here, information and communication technology, 4 credits. Well, they're already taking 2 programming courses with me, and we also offer communications technology. Lots of ways to get these credits done. Certifications, we cover, as a school, we cover the cost of CPR, WMIS, and standard first aid training. And the cost of those on their own, I'm not positive, but I know it's in the hundreds of dollars. And again, students having those makes you that much more employable. And then we also do 3 certifications that I get to control as the person running the SHSM. So the one you're looking at here are not all related to computing. Some of them are. This is just taken from the board website. For example, we could have a certification day on network configuration. We had one a month ago on website design. And so we'll offer certifications once in a while. And if a student takes that, then that's a checklist, or sorry, a check off of the checklist. And once they take 3 plus these 3, they've earned all their certifications. 3, experiential learning and career exploration activities. So for example, if we were going on a field trip down to Queens, like we did, where we explored Ingenuity Labs, which is a lab with, about artificial intelligence, mechatronics, and robotics. We spent the day down there. That would be an experiential learning activity. We could also go to a Skills Canada competition, lots of things you can do there. Reach Out experiences, which are similar. So we've had, that would be like, for example, we had Queens Q9 come in and talk about engineering at Queens. So attending something like that would be a reach ahead. And then of course the co-op, which I already talked about. So if a student does that, and that, they earn their SHSM when they graduate in grade 12. Okay. That brings us to AP. Now, if you haven't heard of AP, it stands for Advanced Placement. So we started offering AP Computer Science A, the one on the right. We started offering that one 2 years ago. And then last year, we had our first student do AP Science Computer Principles. So there are 2 different AP courses. And for all you students out there who may have never heard of this before, AP is really just a special exam that you write at the end of taking a course. And if you do really well in the exam, there are some universities that will give you a credit for that. So for example, I have a couple students who wrote the AP Science, or actually Danica is one of them. I'll brag for you, Danica did extremely well on the AP Computer Science exam. So now when Danica looks at her universities, she can say to your university, what equivalency do you give for Computer Science A? And some universities will say, well, you don't have to take first year programming, which is obviously a savings. And so Computer Science A is offered in grade 12. The other one, Computer Science Principles, we currently have 9, I think, including the 3 grade 11s back there, working on their AP Computer Science Principles course. And so in May, they will write that exam, and if they do well on that, same kind of idea. So it is possible for some, it's actually probable, among those people, for them to graduate Bayridge with not 1 but 2 AP certifications, meaning they could go off to university and not have to do 2 first year computer courses, which is very cool. So the way we work it here at Bayridge, this course here is a project-based course where students do it independently while they go through their grade 11 year. And basically it's, I mean, I'm not sure how you would describe it, but it's kind of like a checklist. They get access to a website and say these are the things you have to do. As long as they work their way through it, they build a portfolio as they go. And then, like I said, in May, they have an exam. That's it. With this one over here, I actually teach the content in grade 12 university programming. So grade 12 university level programming at our school, I teach this content, and then at the very end, every student who took the course gets to just the option, do you want to take the AP exam? And so at that time, they basically declare, and if they take it, again, they write it in May. If they get a level 4 or 5 on the exam, then they get the certification. So we are the only school that I have heard of that offers both AP options. Actually, we might be the only school I know of offering any computer science AP options. So not one, but two. And then the last one I wanted to really talk about was dual credit. And this one is brand new to us. We actually are starting this next semester. And St. Lawrence College, we have started a partnership with St. Lawrence College, where basically students in grade 11 or 12, next semester are going to have one day each week where they actually go to St. Lawrence College and they sit in a room with a real college prof and real college students, and they take an actual college course. And at the end of it, when they are successful and earn their credit, they get not only a credit here, but also a credit at St. Lawrence College. Now, many of my students are in the university pathway, and they say, well, I'm not going to college. And what I would say to that is, but this is a pretty amazing experience for grade 11 to get to go to a post-secondary institution, experience the learning there before you go off for real. And you get to do cool stuff like, forgot to scroll. These are the courses that are offered for our students. Web development. And then if there are any engineers in the house, you might know of the last one, programmable logic controllers. And having a course like that in your back pocket if you wanted to go into electrical or mechanical or anything like that would be very valuable. So another really cool partnership that, again, is for us. So there is more, but, well, I guess I got to talk about that. The students would be very angry if I didn't talk about that. We did start esports this year, and for those of you that don't know, and I didn't know, I'm old, I didn't know what I was doing, but we have a number of students that can we start esports, so we did. And for those of you that don't know, esports is competitive video gaming. I can hear the sidebar. And as the coach, and I say coach with heavy arrow brackets, I was basically, the students would form teams of 3, and they would play as a team against other teams from Ontario. So we were in a league where we played Rocket League in this case. Here, I'll mute it while I talk. We played Rocket League. I don't know what's coming now. And the students at our school did quite well, and amazingly wound up winning the national championship, which was broadcast by Fanshawe College. That's what you're seeing right there. This is the graphic that they put up when we won. And unbelievably, there are scholarships offered for esports now. And if our Rocket League team does as well as they did in the next season, which is in semester 2, I will be traveling to Windsor to go to the national championships in May, the second national championship. It'll be for season 2, where they built a $230 million gaming arena, and we will stay there for a few days, just like an OFSA, and play Rocket League. So, yeah, this is the thing.
It was a bit of the blind leading the blind here, the two of us navigating this, like, okay, how do we supervise this? Are these video games PG? Like, we don't even know what these games are, and so we've learned a ton, and the kids just, their eyes bugged out of their head as soon as he mentioned the phrase esports.
Yeah, and coincidentally, my son happened to be on the team, and it was very interesting to just hear him downstairs yelling at the air while this was all going on. But it did get quite intense. I had to stop watching at some points because it was just too much. One of the games went into overtime. It was crazy. But again, why do we do it? Because, you know, I don't like hearing stories about students who can't find a way to get involved in school because maybe they're not athletic, maybe they don't want to play sports, maybe they don't want to do this, that. This is just another way for students to get involved with our school in some way. And I can tell you, the 4 kids that were on the team that won the nationals, we made a big deal of it, and you could see them walking a little bit prouder on those days. And we had, like I said, we had 3 teams, and the kids on the other teams really got to know each other, built some friendships. So it's more about that, not so much about playing more video games. But always do your homework first. So yeah, so there you go. And then the rest of my website is really just, you know, if you want to buy some gear, you can buy some. Did you wear your gear? Dan will wear gear. Dan's wearing a hoodie. So we have gear. And we've got all kinds of cool stuff. Like if you want to go and check out more detail on the courses I talked about, there's a section for student work which we are updating. So if you wanted to see kind of what kind of things have we done in the past, you can actually go and take a look at the games themselves and how they play. So this is one student who made The Legend of Zelda. And it's actually posted online and you can go and play it. Oh, it's huge. It's really big on my projector. I guess that's not going to work on my projector. But anyway, you can go to my website at any time. It's just bit.ly/Mr. Swain. It's linked to my Twitter as well if you're on Twitter. So I'm easy to find. And yeah, that's probably on topic for me. So I think at this point in the night, what I really wanted to do is I was hoping that there would be some questions that I could answer, or maybe even that they could answer. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd especially love to hear from the students here. And I guess if I have to, I'll hear from the parents. So are there any questions?
And we know that was information overload as well, so you might need some time to process it, but.
No, they understood every word. Yeah.
For the esports team, would you do more shooting games?
Notice that the first question is about esports. That is not a surprise. We actually don't do shooter games at school, unfortunately. Yes. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Do you do VR coding?
VR coding? We haven't yet. But one thing I will say about computer science is that we are constantly evolving, right? So we haven't done VR coding yet because that's not really been a thing. But if it becomes a thing and we want to do it, then yeah, we can certainly, that's something we could look into.
And just with respect to esports, we were talking about, oh my gosh, are we going to have tryouts for the esports team? Because there was such great interest in it. But parents, rest assured, all of the esports are very appropriate. They are not adult. There's no, you don't need to worry about what Mr. Swain is allowing your kids to do in esports.
Yeah, the next season is Super Smash Bros, by the way. Yes?
What rank in Rocket League do you have to be to join?
I'm sorry, can you go a little louder?
What rank in Rocket League do you have to be to join?
What rank in Rocket League? Again, esports. I shouldn't have said anything at all, but you don't have to be any rank. So in the Rocket League, they had one division for, I think it was diamond and up, and then one for platinum and below. So you don't have to be outstanding. Yes, I'm sorry I missed you.
Is it grade 10 where like do more like hardware based things?
Yeah, so grade 10 is when we rip apart the computers and put them back together and do stuff like that. But I will say for hardware, that is one area that I want to do more. I haven't done a ton of hardware, but if we had students who are interested in doing more hardware, why are you making faces at me back there? I don't know. Sorry, they're strange. But that's a case where, you know, if we had, say, a group of students that want to do some hardware stuff as part of their BCSP, we could look at purchasing some Arduino devices or some Raspberry Pis or Lego robotics or whatever it may be, right? We got lots of options. 3D printing. Yeah.
Do you like code like little robots and stuff?
Yeah, we can. That's what kind of like with Lego robotics, we can do that. And in grade 9, I wouldn't call them robots, but we do program these little devices that have different lights on them, and we make them light up certain ways and make them talk to each other and play little games. So, yeah, we do stuff like that. Yes?
Pardon me if I missed this information, but
Not at all.
being a focused program, am I correct there? How many students can you take in grade 9?
So if you didn't hear the question, it was how many students can you take in grade 9 if this is what would be known as a focus program? This is a little bit different than what some of you may have done if you applied to choices at 7, which quite honestly is a very cutthroat process, and there are only a certain number of seats. Our program is a little different in that we can grow the program, and it means we run more sections of that grade 9 TEJ course. So we don't have a hard cap, whereas you would have if you applied to choices at 7, and if you were considering applying to some other choices at 9 programs in other sites, there is a hard cap, and you can only take a certain number of students. We've got more flex. It just means he's busier because he's teaching. Like, I need to actually replicate him and have a second Mr. Swain, because we're reaching the point where the program is, like, he's full-time this, so there's a little more wiggle room. It's based on the class max per class, so we're looking at between 28 and 32 students per class, but we can add more classes if we have more interest. And hopefully that sort of answers the question. It is a little different than what you might have experienced with some of the other programs in Limestone, if you've applied to
And that
those.
applies to students from outside Bayridge area.
Yes, and it applies to students outside of Bayridge, outside of Limestone, and I was mentioning to a couple of parents on the way down, the other difference with John's program is there are lots of things you can opt in and out of. Like, you can be full on 4 years of this program, do every competition, do the SHSM to the fullest extent, or you could be a student who takes some of his courses and is in computer club. So, you know, there is also flexibility for different entry points for kids who either want to totally immerse themselves for their whole high school experience or want to dabble in doing some of the challenges and skills and so forth.
I personally am not a huge fan of programs that tell kids that they're not good enough to get in. So that's why I like to do this the way I do this. I think if a student wants the opportunity, you should have it. So.
And if I could also say, from an inclusion lens, I know that that's important to Mr. Swain as well. So we have had students come to the program that have finally found their thing, and they just didn't feel in elementary school that they had, and they didn't always feel like they had their people and they had their passion. And I see some head nods. So some of our students came into us extremely anxious from elementary school, as I say, not feeling like they found their place and they found their people and they found their passion, and they did when they came here.
Yeah. Would you do the same amount of, say, like language, math, science, as you would like in this like program versus like AP or IB?
That's a good question. I'm going to use.
Yeah. So the question was, would the English, math, science, and those other areas be the same as if you did AP or IB? If you did the pre-IB program, for example, at KSS, it would look a bit different. It's the same curriculum, so it's the same English curriculum document from the Ministry of Education, but in AP, and I was a principal at LCBI where some of these programs were, the teachers sort of beef it up, so it's enriched, so to speak. It's the same curriculum at the end of the day, but they do amplify that. Whereas here, you would have your more traditional, and you probably notice as well that we're